Admiral Thomas Reed stood at the main viewport of the HMS Invictus, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. The stars stretched endlessly before him, each one a reminder of humanity's relentless drive to explore. His blue eyes reflected the soft glow of the bridge displays, and his gray hair caught the light from the overhead panels. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth Command," said Alan Brooks from his communication station. The young officer's voice carried an unusual edge of tension. Reed turned away from the viewport. "Put it through to my private terminal." In his 40 years of service, Reed had never seen such a direct message from Earth Command. The words on his screen made his blood run cold. "Council forces approaching Proxima B colony evacuation rejected. Authorization granted for full military response." "Sir," Lieutenant Emma Hayes called out from Tactical, "long-range sensors are picking up Council signatures. A lot of them." Reed walked to her station, his boots making soft sounds on the deck plating. The tactical display showed exactly what he feared: a massive Council fleet moving toward the human colony. Their formation was typical Council style, a perfect geometric pattern that any first-year cadet would recognize as textbook Council doctrine. "How many ships, Lieutenant?" 233, sir. Mostly heavy cruisers with escort frigates." Hayes looked up at him, her face pale but determined. "They're not even trying to hide their approach." Reed allowed himself a grim smile. Of course they weren't hiding. The Council had spent the last 50 years treating humanity like children who needed supervision. Why would they expect resistance now? He remembered the Council's first contact with Earth. Their representatives had looked down their noses at human technology, calling it quaint and primitive. They'd restricted human expansion, limited their trade, and imposed safety regulations that just happened to keep humanity from competing with Council worlds. "Get me a channel to the colony," Reed ordered. He watched as Brooks worked his console, establishing a secure connection to the 30,000 human settlers on Proxima. "Channel open." "Sir." Reed straightened his uniform jacket. "This is Admiral Reed to Proxima Colony. The Council is coming with a fleet. They intend to force your relocation." He paused, letting that sink in. "Earth Command has authorized us to protect you. I need to know your choice. Will you leave, or do you want us to defend your homes?" The response came quickly from Colony Governor Wright. "Admiral, we built this colony from nothing. Our children were born here. We're not leaving." "Understood." Reed turned to his crew. "Sound General Quarters." The bridge erupted into activity as red alert klaxons blared. Crew members rushed to their stations, and damage control teams took their positions throughout the massive ship. "Chief Pierce," Reed called to his engineer. "Are the new systems ready?" Robert Pierce looked up from his engineering station, a confident grin on his face. "Yes, sir. The quantum drive is at full capacity, and all weapon systems are operational. The Council won't know what hit them." Reed nodded. The Council had always dismissed human weapons as obsolete, preferring their energy-based technology. They'd never understood why Earth kept developing primitive ballistic weapons alongside energy weapons. They were about to learn. "Lieutenant Hayes, tactical analysis of the Council fleet." "Standard formation, sir. Their shields are optimized for energy weapon impacts. No point defense systems. They've never needed them." She smiled slightly. "They're completely vulnerable to our kind of warfare." Reed returned to the viewport, watching as the Council fleet grew visible to the naked eye. A massive array of gleaming ships, all identical in design and purpose. They truly believed they were coming to do what was best for humanity. Their patronizing attitude had finally brought them to this moment. "Send a message to the Council fleet," Reed ordered. "Tell them that any attempt to remove our colonists will be met with military force." "Message sent," Brooks reported. "They're responding. They say we're being childish and should trust in the Council's wisdom." Reed shook his head. Even now, they couldn't see humans as equals. "Helm, bring us about. Tactical, load all weapon systems but do not target." Let's show them our teeth before we have to use them. The massive Invictus turned gracefully in space, its hull gleaming under the light of Proxima Centauri. The Council was about to learn that their primitive humans had grown up, and a lesson would be written in fire across the stars. Now, Reed said quietly, we show them how dangerous children can be. Lieutenant Emma Hayes watched her tactical display with growing tension. The Council fleet drew closer in their perfect diamond formation, their ships looking like a swarm of silver insects against the black of space. Her hands moved quickly over the controls as she tracked each enemy vessel. Admiral Reed, they're moving into attack range, she reported. Still no change in their formation. Reed nodded from his command chair. They're following their standard tactics, just like they have for the past 500 years. He turned to Chief Engineer Pierce. How's our quantum drive holding up? Purring like a kitten, sir. Pierce answered from his station. His fingers danced across his console, checking and double-checking the experimental drive's readings. They still haven't detected it. Their sensors are only looking for standard fusion drives. A harsh beep cut through the bridge's tension. Incoming transmission, Brooks called out. The Council Fleet Commander wants to speak with you, Admiral. Put them on screen, Reed ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a tall, blue-skinned Council commander. He looked down at Reed with the same condescending expression they always wore when dealing with humans. This is Commander Superior Ultrix of the Council Fleet, the alien announced. Your presence here is unnecessary. We are relocating these colonists for their own safety. Stand down your vessel and return to Earth. Reed stood up, his voice firm but calm. This is Admiral Reed. These colonists are under Earth's protection. They have chosen to stay. Any attempt to remove them will be met with force. The Council Commander's expression didn't change. You have no ships capable of challenging our fleet. This display of defiance, while admirable, is futile. Stand down. Reed cut the transmission with a quick gesture. Status of their weapons, Lieutenant Hayes. Energy weapons powering up, sir. Standard Council configuration. All designed to punch through energy shields. Hayes allowed herself a small smile. They still haven't figured out we're not using energy shields. Time to show them what their primitive humans can do. Reed's voice carried across the bridge. All hands, battle stations. Pierce, bring the quantum drive online. Hayes, target their lead ships with kinetic weapons. Brooks, make sure our fighter pilots are ready. The Invictus hummed with power as its revolutionary quantum drive spun up. The Council ships didn't react. Their sensors couldn't detect the impossible technology they'd dismissed as human fantasy. Council ships firing, Hayes called out. Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Council fleet, passing through the space where they expected the Invictus's energy shields to be. But the massive human warship wasn't there anymore. The quantum drive activated, and the Invictus simply disappeared. Position, Reed asked calmly. Perfect, sir, Hayes reported. We're behind their formation. They're still firing at where we were. Reed allowed himself a grim smile. Load the railguns. Let's show them why humans never stopped developing ballistic weapons. The Invictus's weapon ports opened, revealing rows of what the Council would consider primitive technology. Inside each barrel, electromagnetic fields built up enormous power. Firing solution ready, Hayes announced. Target locked on their command ship. Fire. The railguns roared silently in space, launching tungsten rods at speeds that would make most missiles look slow. The Council fleet, their sensors tuned for energy weapons, never detected the incoming projectiles. The first rod struck the command ship's engines. Without energy shields to stop it, the kinetic round tore through the hull like paper. 3 more rods followed, and the massive Council vessel split apart in a spectacular explosion. Panic erupted across the Council fleet. Their perfect formation began to break as ships tried to turn and face the threat that had appeared behind them. Second volley ready, Hayes reported. Their formation is breaking up. Launch fighters, Reed ordered. Commander Foster, You have permission to engage. Small craft poured from the Invictus's launch base. Another obsolete technology the Council had abandoned centuries ago. The human fighters darted between the now scattered Council ships, their own railguns adding to the chaos. "Sir," Brooks called out, "we're picking up their communications. They're calling us demons. They're saying we're using impossible weapons." Reed watched as more Council ships exploded under the Invictus's relentless attack. "Send them a message, Brooks. Tell them this is what happens when you underestimate humanity." The battle had only just begun, but already the Council's mighty fleet was in shambles. Their rigid tactics, unchanged for centuries, were useless against human ingenuity and adaptability. "Prepare for another quantum jump," Reed ordered. "Let's show them what else their children can do." Chief Engineer Robert Pierce loved his engines. While the battle raged outside, he stood in the Invictus's massive engine room, watching the quantum drives blue glow with pride. Around him, his engineering team worked at their stations, keeping the ship's revolutionary systems running at peak performance. "Chief," called out his assistant Tom, "the Council ships are trying to scan our engines again. They still can't figure out how we're moving like this." Pierce laughed as he checked the readings. The Council's scans passed right through their hull, looking for the standard fusion drives that every spaceship was supposed to have. But the Invictus was different. It had taken Earth scientists 20 years to perfect the quantum drive, working in secret while the Council thought they were just tinkering with primitive technology. "Sir, Admiral Reed is calling," Tom said. Pierce pressed his comm button. "Pierce here, Admiral. How are my engines holding up, Chief?" Reed's voice was calm despite the sounds of battle in the background. "Running perfectly, sir. The Council's weapons aren't even coming close to our power systems." Pierce moved to another console, checking the weapon readouts. "All railguns are charged and ready. The new tungsten rods are working better than we expected." Through the engine room's viewport, Pierce watched another Council ship break apart under the Invictus's attack. The alien vessels were beautiful, all smooth lines and glowing energy fields. But they were built to fight energy weapons, not the outdated physical weapons humanity had kept developing. "We need more power to the forward railguns." Lieutenant Hayes's voice came over the comm. "The Council ships are trying to group up again." "You'll have it," Pierce replied. He turned to his team. "Divert power from decks 3 through 7. Give weapons everything they need." The engine room burst into activity. Pierce's engineers moved with practiced speed, adjusting power flows and checking systems. The quantum drive hummed louder, its blue glow brightening as it channeled more energy to the weapons. Suddenly, the ship shook. "Report," Pierce called out. "One of their ships got lucky," Tom answered. "Hit us with some kind of new energy weapon. No damage to the hull, but it's affecting our power distribution." Pierce rushed to the main engineering console. The Council weapon had tried to overload their systems, expecting to find standard power relays. Instead, it had hit the quantum-based power grid that Earth's engineers had developed in secret. "Chief, we need that power," Hayes called again. "Working on it," Pierce replied. His fingers flew over the controls, rerouting power through backup systems. "Tom, get a repair team to Junction 14. We need to stabilize the flow." Through the viewport, Pierce could see the Council ships regrouping. They were learning, adapting their tactics, but too slowly. "Power restored to weapons," Pierce reported. "You've got full capacity, Lieutenant." The Invictus's railgun spoke again. Pierce watched as their supposedly primitive weapons tore through the Council's advanced shields. The aliens had spent centuries perfecting energy weapons and defenses, never imagining that someone would keep using physical projectiles. "Engineering, this is the Admiral." Reed's voice came through. "We're detecting some kind of energy buildup in the Council fleet. Looks like they're trying something new." Pierce checked his readings. The Council ships were channeling massive amounts of power. "They're trying to create some kind of energy web," he reported. probably hoping to trap us in place. Can they stop us? Reed asked. Pierce smiled as he looked at his quantum drive readings. No, sir. Their energy web is designed to stop normal engines. Our quantum drive will pass right through it. Good. Stand by for full power to all systems. Let's show them what else we've been hiding. Pierce turned to his engineering team. You heard the Admiral. I want every system at maximum. Show these council ships what human engineering can do. The engine room erupted in focused activity. Engineers moved between stations, making adjustments and checking readings. The quantum drive's hum grew to a deep rumble that Pierce could feel in his bones. Through the viewport, Pierce watched as the Council's energy web spread between their ships. It was beautiful, a net of pure light designed to trap any normal vessel. But the Invictus wasn't normal. It was humanity's answer to centuries of Council superiority. And as Pierce watched his engines power up to full capacity, he knew the Council was about to learn just how far behind they'd fallen. All systems ready, Admiral, he reported. Time to show them what the primitives can really do. Commander Diana Foster sat in her fighter's cockpit, watching the battle unfold through her canopy. Her squadron of 12 fighters hung in space behind the Invictus, waiting for their moment. The Council's grand fleet was scattered now, their perfect formation broken by the Invictus's attacks. All fighters, check in, she called over the squad channel. One by one, her pilots reported ready. They were the best Earth had to offer. Flying machines the Council had called obsolete centuries ago. Squadron leader, this is the Invictus. Lieutenant Hayes's voice came through clear. Admiral Reed authorizes attack pattern Delta. Hit their damaged ships and take out their weapons. Copy that. Invictus, Foster replied. She switched to her squadron channel. You heard them, Eagles. Let's show these aliens why humans still use fighter craft. Form up on me. Her fighter roared to life, small but deadly. Behind her, 11 more fighters moved into attack formation. Their engines glowed blue against the darkness of space. Target the big cruiser at point 3, Foster ordered. Watch for debris and stay in pairs. Remember your training. The human fighters dove into battle. They were tiny compared to the Council ships. But that was their strength. The Council had stopped using fighters long ago, believing them too small to be useful. They had no defenses against them. Foster's targeting computer locked onto a damaged Council cruiser. Its smooth hull was already cracked from the Invictus's railgun attacks. Eagle 2, with me, she called. We're going for its main weapons. Her fighter streaked through space, dodging energy beams from the Council ships. They were trying to hit the small, fast fighters with weapons designed to battle capital ships. It was like trying to swat flies with a sledgehammer. Energy spike. Eagle 3 called out. They're trying to trap us in their web. Foster looked up through her canopy. The Council ships were creating a massive net of energy between them, trying to trap the human forces. But they'd made it too big, leaving gaps a skilled pilot could slip through. All fighters, use the debris for cover, Foster ordered. Stay close to their hulls. They can't fire their big guns without hitting themselves. Her squad split up, each pair of fighters diving between the Council ships. Foster's own fighter skimmed along the hull of a massive cruiser, so close she could see the alien writing on its armor plates. Eagle 7 here. Got a clean shot at their engines. Take it, Foster ordered. Small rail guns on the human fighters opened fire. They were tiny compared to the Invictus's weapons, but at close range, they cut through the Council ship's armor like paper. Commander Foster, Admiral Reed's voice came through. The Invictus is about to jump. Get your fighters clear of that energy web. Copy that, Foster replied. All Eagles, fall back to Point Beta. Move it. Her fighters pulled away from the Council ships, engines burning hot as they raced to safety. Behind them, the Council fleet was trying to close their energy web, still not understanding that it wouldn't work. Through her canopy, Foster saw the Invictus disappear as its quantum drive activated. A moment later, It appeared inside the Council's trap, right in the middle of their fleet. "All fighters, attack pattern Omega," Foster ordered. "The big ship's about to give us a target-rich environment." The Invictus's railguns opened up, firing in every direction. Council ships, caught by surprise, began exploding. Their perfect energy web became a trap for them instead, preventing their own ships from escaping. "Eagles 3 and 4, take out that frigate's weapons," Foster called, marking a target on their displays. 5 and 6, hit their engines. "Everyone else, pick your targets and fire at will." The space around them filled with explosions as Council ships died. Foster's fighters darted between the larger ships like angry wasps, their small railguns adding to the chaos. "Council ships are trying to retreat," Eagle 2 reported. "Their formation is completely broken." Foster watched as the mighty Council fleet fell apart. Ships were running in every direction, their rigid command structure shattered by the human attack. The energy web dissolved as ships tried to flee. "Commander," Admiral Reed's voice came through again. "Good work out there. Bring your fighters home. The Invictus will handle the rest." "Copy that, sir," Foster replied. "All Eagles, return to base." Mission accomplished. As her squadron formed up for landing, Foster looked back at the battlefield. The Council's perfect fleet was in ruins, defeated by the very fighters they had called useless. She smiled inside her helmet, proud of what humanity had achieved. "Not bad for a bunch of primitives," she said quietly, guiding her fighter back to the Invictus's launch bay. Communications Officer Alan Brooks sat at his station on the Invictus's bridge, listening to the chaos in his headset. The Council fleet's neat, organized communications had turned into panic. Their strict rules about proper channel usage were forgotten as ships called for help in every language their species knew. "Sir," Brooks called to Admiral Reed, "I'm picking up at least 50 distress calls. Their command structure is falling apart." Reed nodded from his command chair. "Let me hear their main channel." Brooks pressed a few buttons, and the sound of panic filled the bridge. Council commanders were shouting over each other, some calling for retreat, others demanding to stay and fight. Their voices were full of fear and confusion. "How did they do that?" one alien voice cried. "Their weapons shouldn't work like this. The humans are everywhere." Another voice shouted, "Their ship appears and disappears at will." Brooks adjusted his controls, sorting through the mess of signals. After years of studying Council communications, he knew their patterns. But now those patterns were breaking down. "Admiral," he reported, "their fleet commander is trying to restore order. Should I put him through?" "No," Reed replied. "It's time to send our message. Prepare a broadcast on all frequencies." Brooks's fingers moved quickly over his console. This was the moment they had planned for. "Ready, sir." Reed stood up, his voice clear and strong. "This is Admiral Reed of the HSS Invictus to all Council vessels. For centuries, you have treated humanity like children. You restricted our growth, limited our trade, and dismissed our achievements. Today, you learn the cost of that mistake." Brooks watched his displays as the message went out. Every Council ship was receiving it, even the ones trying to run away. "Look around you," Reed continued. "Your mighty fleet lies in ruins. Your perfect formations are broken. Your superior technology has failed. The children you look down upon have grown up, and we will no longer accept your control." Lieutenant Hayes spoke up from Tactical. "Sir, some Council ships are powering down their weapons. They're surrendering." Reed nodded. "Brooks, send to all frequencies. Any ship that surrenders will be shown mercy. Power down your weapons and engines. You have 1 minute to comply." Brooks sent the message, then watched in amazement as more Council ships went dark. Their energy signatures dropped as they shut down their systems. "Sir," Brooks called out, "I'm intercepting messages between their ships. Many are saying they were wrong about humans. They're afraid of us now." "Good," Reed said. "They should be. Send another message. To the remaining Council ships still fighting, you have seen what one human warship can do. Earth has built more. This is your final warning. The bridge was quiet as Brooks transmitted the message. Through his headset, he could hear the impact it had on the Council forces. Their proud, superior tone was gone, replaced by fear and respect. Message from the Council Fleet Commander, Brooks announced. He wants to discuss terms of surrender. Reed smiled. Put him through to my station only. Keep monitoring all other channels. As the Admiral spoke with the Council Commander, Brooks continued listening to the fleet's communications. He heard messages of shock, disbelief, and growing respect for human capabilities. Sir, he called out, Council ships are broadcasting to their homeworlds. They're warning them about us, about what we can do. Let them, Reed replied. It's time the galaxy learned that humanity has grown up. Prepare a final broadcast. Brooks readied his systems once more. Reed's voice rang out across space. This battle is over. Humanity claims victory. Remember this day. Remember what happened when you pushed us too far. Remember what the children you dismissed can do. The era of Council dominance is finished. Through his headset, Brooks heard the impact of these words. Council ships were relaying the message to their home systems. The news was spreading across the galaxy. Humanity had defeated the Council's greatest fleet. Sir, Brooks reported, the surrender is complete. 87 ships have powered down. The rest. He paused, checking his readings. The rest are destroyed or disabled. Reed nodded. Send a message to Earth Command. Victory achieved. Council fleet defeated. Human independence secured. Brooks sent the message, pride filling his chest. Through his headset, he could still hear Council communications, but they were different now. The aliens were no longer talking about primitive humans or childish species. They were talking about the power that had crushed their greatest fleet, about the humans who had hidden their true strength, about the day everything changed. Message sent, sir, Brooks reported. The galaxy will never be the same. Medical Officer Lisa Cooper moved quickly through the Invictus's medical bay, checking on her newest patients. The large room was filled with both human crew members and Council survivors. Her team worked steadily, treating everyone regardless of their species. Dr. Cooper, her assistant, called. We have more survivors coming in from the rescue shuttles. 20 Council crew members, mostly from their damaged cruiser. Cooper nodded, grabbing her medical kit. Put the serious cases in Section 3. Make sure the universal translators are working. And get more blankets. Their body temperature runs higher than ours. The medical bay doors opened as more survivors arrived. Council aliens were helped in by human crew members, their proud postures gone. Some looked afraid, others confused. None of them had expected humans to show mercy after victory. I won't hurt you, Cooper said to a young Council officer as she scanned his injuries. The translator turned her words into his language. You're safe here. The alien looked at her with all four of his eyes. Why do you help us? After what we did to your colony. Cooper cleaned a cut on his arm while checking the scanner results. Because this is what humans do. We fight hard, but we also help those in need, even our enemies. Across the medical bay, human doctors and nurses worked alongside medical robots, treating burns, cuts, and broken bones. The Council survivors watched in surprise as they received the same care as the human crew. Doctor, Admiral Reed's voice came through her comm. Status report. We've taken in 342 Council survivors so far, Cooper replied, moving to her next patient. No serious casualties. Most injuries are from system failures on their ships when our weapons hit. Good work, Reed said. More rescue shuttles are heading out. Expect more patients soon. Cooper turned to her team. Clear more space in Section 2. Get the synthetic blood supplies ready. Some of their species need special types. A loud crash made her turn. A Council survivor had fallen, knocking over a tray of instruments. Two human nurses rushed to help him up, speaking softly to calm his fear. "It's okay," Cooper said, walking over. "No one is going to harm you. We're doctors, not soldiers." The alien looked around the medical bay, seeing his fellow survivors being treated with care. "Our reports said humans were violent primitives," he said quietly. "They never said you could be kind." Cooper smiled as she helped him to a bed. "There's a lot your reports got wrong about us. Now hold still. I need to check that leg injury." More survivors arrived as the hours passed. Cooper's team worked tirelessly, showing the same care to every patient. Some council members began to help, using their own medical knowledge to assist where they could. "Dr. Cooper," a human nurse called out. "The council medical officer from the surrender party wants to speak with you." Cooper walked over to where a tall, dignified council alien waited. His uniform marked him as their fleet's chief medical officer. "Your methods are unexpected," he said through the translator. "We thought humans only knew violence and war." Cooper checked his medical scanner, noting its advanced design. "Humans know many things. We fight when we must, but we heal whenever we can. Would you like to help? We could use your expertise." The council doctor looked surprised, then nodded. Soon he was working alongside Cooper's team, sharing his knowledge of council biology and learning human medical techniques. "Admiral," Cooper reported later, "we've now treated over 500 survivors. The council medical staff is helping us. They're learning that humans aren't what they thought we were." "Well done, Doctor," Reed replied. "Make sure they understand this is how Earth treats prisoners of war. Show them real human civilization." Cooper looked around her medical bay. Human and council medical staff worked side by side, saving lives together. The fear in the survivors' eyes was being replaced by understanding and even respect. "I think they're already learning, sir," she said. "Sometimes the best way to change minds is to heal bodies first." A young council crew member caught her eye and nodded in thanks. Cooper smiled back. This was humanity's true victory, not just defeating the council fleet, but showing them a better way. "Get some rest, people," she called to her team. "There's still more work to do. We help everyone here, no matter where they're from." The medical bay hummed with activity as humans and aliens worked together to save lives. This, Cooper knew, was how you really won a war, not just with weapons, but with mercy. Political officer Jack Wilson stood in the Invictus's conference room, looking at the stars through the large window. Behind him, the room was prepared for the most important meeting in human history. The council's surviving leaders would soon arrive to discuss new terms. "Everything ready?" Admiral Reed asked as he entered the room. Wilson nodded, checking his tablet one last time. "Yes, sir. The council representatives are on their way. They've accepted our basic conditions for the meeting." The conference room doors opened again. Several council leaders walked in, their once proud postures now careful and respectful. They looked around the room, taking in the simple but elegant human design. "Welcome aboard the Invictus," Wilson said, activating the translator. "Please be seated." The council members sat down, their movements stiff with formal politeness. Wilson noted how different they were now from the arrogant aliens who had tried to force the human colony to move. "We are here to discuss new terms," the lead council representative said. "Our fleet's defeat has changed many things." Wilson sat at the table, Reed beside him. "Yes, it has. Earth has prepared a new agreement, one between equals, not between masters and children." He shared the document with their tablets. The council members read quickly, their expressions showing surprise at several points. "You're requesting full membership in the Galactic Council," one of them said, "with equal voting rights." "We're not requesting," Reed corrected firmly. "We're stating what will happen. Humanity has earned its place." Wilson watched the council members carefully. Their usual superiority was gone, replaced by a new understanding. The battle had taught them that humans were far more than they had thought. "Your technology," another council member said. "The quantum drive, the advanced railguns. How long have you had these?" "Long enough," Wilson replied. "We developed them in secret while you thought we were just playing with primitive toys. There's a lot you don't know about humanity." He stood up and walked to a display screen, bringing up images of Earth's other achievements. The council members watched with growing amazement. "These are just some of our advances," Wilson explained. "We have more, much more, but we're willing to share them, to work together as equals." "And if we refuse?" one council member asked quietly. Reed answered, his voice firm but not threatening. "The Invictus is not our only advanced ship. Earth has been preparing for a long time. We hope that won't be necessary." The council members looked at each other, then at the document again. Wilson could see them thinking, calculating, finally understanding. "We accept these terms," the lead representative said at last. "Humanity will have full membership in the council. Equal rights, equal voice, equal trade." Wilson nodded, feeling the weight of history in this moment. "Then let's begin our new relationship. Earth has many ideas to share, many ways we can help each other." The meeting continued as they worked out details. Wilson noticed how the council members began to relax, to speak more openly. They were seeing humans as partners now, not children to be controlled. One question a council member asked near the end: "Why did you wait so long? Why hide your progress?" Wilson smiled. "Because we needed to be ready, to show you all at once what humanity could do. Sometimes the best lesson is a complete surprise." The agreements were signed, the terms set. As the council members prepared to leave, Wilson looked out at the stars again. The galaxy was changing. Humanity was finally taking its rightful place. "Political officer," Reed said after the aliens left, "send the news to Earth and to all our colonies. Let everyone know. We're not alone anymore. We're part of something bigger." Wilson sent the message, thinking about how far humanity had come. From being seen as primitive children to becoming equal partners in the galaxy. "The Council learned an important lesson today," he said. "Never judge a species by what you think you know about them." Reed nodded, looking out at the stars. "And humanity learned something too. Sometimes you have to show your strength to gain respect. But it's what you do with that respect that really matters." The Invictus hung in space above Proxima, its mission complete. The colony below was safe. The Council fleet was defeated, and humanity was ready to take its next step into the stars. "Send another message," Reed ordered. "Tell them Earth is ready. The new age begins now."